Well, hello there and welcome to the bedroom of the dollhouse for another reading from The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and Just Elfers for February 24th, the day of sacrifice. That's right. Near the top of the page is a visual representational image of the day of sacrifice. We have us an interesting one, though they tend to be interesting all the time. All right, what do we got? That's right. Boom. It looks to be some kind of old-timey milk jug placed atop a precipice of bespeckled rock, I'm guessing, or perhaps some dirty laundry. I don't know. Can you see it that way? Perhaps, all right. Does that speak to the day of sacrifice? Well, if it is upon a precipice, I suppose there was the chance at sacrifice to get such a thing to the top of as much. That having been said, not altogether all too important, the visual representational image. I just like folks to kind of know what's going on and on the page in front of me, what the paradigm kind of is there. Something otherwise off camera there. That having been said, like I said, not altogether all too important. What is important, though, is it's February 24th, and so it must be somebody's birthday. And so if your birthday is February 24th, I just want to say happy birthday. That's right. That's what's important. Wishing you a happy birthday. Now, if this video finds you late, I don't know, days, weeks, months, whatever the case may happen to be, I just want to say I hope you had a happy birthday. But for everybody else joining us randomly, or more ideally to celebrate the February 24th birthday, I just want to say hello, welcome, and I hope you enjoy yourself. Now, before I dive in with the redirect, what I'd like to do here is take a couple minutes to live up to the namesake here. This is the DykASSt birthday broadcast, so I like to roll some dice. That's right. Now, I do so to live up to the namesake, like I said, but I do so also, more importantly, for synchronicity's sake. And here I rolled us, here it is, a 6 and a 3 for a 9. That's right, I fumbled it a little bit. Now, what is synchronicity? You're probably wondering. Well, my friends, as I've heard it told, the universe, or the higher powers that be, will oftentimes put things in our path to help us manifest our goals or realize our aspirations. But as we get on through life, running the errands or just commuting to work, well, we're often very laser or singular of focus. We often have the blinders on to what's going on around us. And so, those things the universe may put in our path, we're apt to either ignore or not necessarily pick up the context for, all right? We'll see them, but, we won't lend them much credence. So this is a bit of an exercise to help you get those blinders off and maybe see the things for which the universe is trying to grab your attention. How do we do that? Well, we need a sign of sorts, something that's mutually agreed upon between us and the universe that we can't help but notice. That's right. Hopefully. That's right. So it'd be your 6 and your 3 for a 9. That said, you don't have to go with the numbers that I rolled for you. The intention is there, but it's probably advisable you get your own set of dice, all right? Raid that old Yahtzee set that's just collecting dust in the closet for a couple of dice. You want to be able to ascribe directional values to number sets and time limits with which to go in those directions. That said, once you have that established, if this is something you choose to do, pick out a place that's near and dear to your heart. Try this out in. I often like to pick the town square, but let's pick Main Street, for instance, all right? Change it up a little bit here, though it probably doesn't seem like much of a difference. So you get yourself out there, but like I said, get those blinders off. And I say that because you never know. The day might start to take on a bit of a theme. Let's take the visual representational image, for instance. Granite stones, bespeckled perhaps, and old-timey milk jugs. Now, you're probably not apt to see old-timey tin milk jug or pewter, whatever they may be made out of. But you know what? You might just start to see something that looks like it, like those giant water jugs, right? You might see some guy carrying it down the street. Hey, I would take that as a sign that the universe is looking out for you. Coincidence, you may say. Hey, let's lean into it. Let's stack up some coincidences, all right? Maybe you just so happen to walk past a big rock climbing wall. Hey, I would say that speaks to the pinnacle rock there, if you like. So it's just things like that. Otherwise, maybe you might not happen to notice, all right? But you might say, yeah, it's just a coincidence. What if you started seeing them regular like? That's right. Maybe you happen to see an advertisement for rock climbing, right? Or an advertisement for a dairy farm. Hey, you know what? I would take that as a sign of such things, all right? But let's say you get out there after your first time value and directional value. maybe you're not seeing anything. All right, hey, just take it in stride. You're out there getting your steps in at the very least. All right, but take a moment, compose yourself, look around, see what you see. Maybe you just so happen to notice something small. Maybe you're at the cross street of Main and 9th or 63rd. I don't know how deep into town you may be or how big the town is, but hey, there's an instance of another sign. All right, something to show you maybe you're on the right path. So roll yourself another time value, maybe and direction to go in, and maybe, I don't know, maybe it keeps taking you down Main Street. All right, keep going, see what you see. Maybe at this point they come to the end of your time value. I don't know, maybe you just so happen to be in front of a soda shop. Oh, very interesting. And maybe it just so happens to have your old number 9 in the address. Hey, again, take it as a sign. Maybe go in, see what you see. Maybe they just so happen to have your favorite drink on special. Hey, that's nice. Kind of kismet, right? It's not often we get into a soda shop. Someplace you can sit down and they mix it up for you fresh. And maybe when you're done with your drink, you roll the dice again, see where you're going to get going for how long. And the person behind the bar, the soda jerk, if you like, because they pull the knobs, I think. What are you doing? We're rolling dice in here. There's no craps allowed in the soda shop. Hey, you know what? Just show them your dice, show them this video perhaps, explain what's going on, and maybe the things that you've seen that have lined up coincidentally or synchronistically, if you like. And you know what? They might say it's crazy, and you're like, I know, but I'm just trying to shake up my birthday. And they go, no, that's crazy too. But what's even crazier? It's my birthday too. Oh, that would be pretty interesting, wouldn't it? And somehow they got roped into work on their birthday. So you know what? Maybe you buy them their own soda of choice. You find out what that is. I don't know, a strawberry limeade, whatever the case. Or maybe it happens to be a milk cream. Or was that an egg cream, rather? That's right. It's something they got to put the milk of chocolate into. Or what is it, soda water, I think. Regardless. Things like that might just so happen to line up, all right? So get out there, let the synchronicities and the coincidences stack up, maybe meet some new folks. And who's to say they might just be apt to quit their job on the day and join you. And if that's the case, hey, you know what? It's even better, because as I've heard it told, more people that are focused on the same thing are apt to beget greater results. All right, so grab you an egg cream, all right, and sit back as we dive in to the birthday read. All right, your month is February, your day the 24th, your sign is 4 to 6 degrees Pisces of the Pisces I period specifically, and your quality and element is immutable water. All right, February 24th, the day of sacrifice. Sacrifice is a pivotal theme in the lives of February 24th people and can manifest in a variety of ways. Those born on this day often sacrifice their own concerns to a cause, parental wishes, or the desires of a mate or family. Typically, they themselves demand a great degree of sacrifice from others, particularly loved ones. And the theme may also recur in more abstract or philosophical terms, where sacrifice becomes a kind of acceptance of life as it is, a sacrifice of ego, so to speak. And in the best cases, this is a true unselfishness and desire to work for the common good. And those February 24 people who choose to sacrifice themselves to a larger purpose or the wishes of a group do so with anything from blissful joy to an austere, even grim, sense of duty. And in the former case, they sincerely believe in what they do, and the happiness or well-being of others is their personal reward. In the latter case, though, they may act out of firm moral or ethical convictions. They can harbor deep resentment due to the frustrated demands of their ego. And such frustration, building up over a long period of time, one day bursts out and leads these February 24 people to reject the responsibilities placed on them. And many February 24 people seek to reduce the presence of their ego, perhaps even getting rid of it altogether, in the pursuit of a more pure lifestyle. The danger here is, of course, that they could be in some way deluding themselves. It may not be possible to rid of one's ego, or to get rid of one's ego, rather, when it is not yet fully formed! Exclamation point. And the more highly evolved of February 24 people are aware of this trap, and they steer clear by strengthening the positive aspects of their personality and judging themselves by objective standards whenever possible. Yet other February 24 people accept everything that fate sends their way, believing that their misfortune is somehow a confirmation of a higher state. In February 24 people must find a way to work for the common good, or perhaps please their parents and society, without compromising their own beliefs and desires. More than for most, those born on this day must be very sure of their wishes and unafraid of communicating them. If they have grown overly accepting of compromise and less than ideal circumstances, or of self-fulfilling prophecies into their outlook which determine their future as well. And if they one day wish to again take control of their life, they may find the going rough, as they will be swimming against an undertow of ingrained habits and expectations. Steady progress, willpower, resolute conduct, determination, guts. These are all qualities which February 24 people must have in place before they begin to make any major sacrifices. Also, sharing love from a position of strength rather than weakness proves far more satisfying in the long run. Well, all right, how about that for a birthday breakdown? I would say it was rather laser of focus on the aspects of sacrifice. Now, they did dive in to round things out a little bit, but not as much as I like to see when I say it's been well rounded out. So say maybe what you're like as a friend, family member, a partner, coworker. A lot of times they'll dive into those sorts of things. Sometimes they'll even provide a little bit of advice for parents of the person in question. None of that was really here, so I would say they really dove in with the sacrifice angle and expanded out from there. Here nor there, it's just a little bit of a thing that they've been doing since, or the early Capricorn period. So it's a little bit of a pivot or deviation from the rest of the book that I kind of took note of, and I kind of like to expand upon, because when I do see a day that's rounded out, I like to really take note of it. That having been said, I'd like to provide a little bit of a commentary on what we just read, go over a few things, maybe see what connections we can make with the period at large, or just things I found interesting in general. So let's dive into it, shall we? February 24, the day of sacrifice. All right, so sacrifice, as they said, is a pivotal theme that can present your life in a myriad of different ways. And the reading claims you may be apt to commit yourself to a cause that runs averse to the concerns of yours and those in your orbit. And in what I would think are more extreme cases, you may then start to expect, perhaps to the extent of demanding that others sacrifice themselves in such ways as well. Pretty interesting there. That's your cause, not theirs. Why are you trying to recruit them, right? Which in no small part is beginning to present as a bit of a through line for this specific period. Just this dedication to a higher cause. A lot of times higher ideals. That didn't present here so much, but I would say it's kind of baked into the recipe in no small part. But this seemingly ties all the way back to the Capricorn period. The Capricorn carryovers, I've started to call it. But here in this Pisces period, there's the high ideals baked into it. Whereas Capricorn, it was just a cause that was calling to them. Didn't necessarily need to appeal to the greater good, insofar as that's kind of what Pisces concerns. Albeit this seems to have a bit of a broader flavor with the demands and the philosophical framing they mentioned. So that might be very specific to you, particularly. Such things may be seen as part and parcel realization of life as it is, they also said, interestingly enough. So there's a certain mindset you may have about as much as well, whereas another Pisces individual will be like, wow, you're really taking this thing to a different way than the rest of us. So very interesting there. Though it does seem a little bit, ironically, oxymoron to think of your own unselfish acts, that they aren't in themselves a little bit selfish if you do in fact derive personal fulfillment from them, even if they are for the common good. All right. Here nor there, I just found it to be an interesting dynamic also, especially considering the reading goes on to say that this paradigm of doing things for joy versus a sense of duty may cause you to harbor resentment and then ultimately abandon the cause. All right. It seems kind of common sense, but maybe in some cases you might not think that's baked into it. But it apparently is. So therein lies quite the case to be made for chasing after personal happiness. All right, something you derive fulfillment from versus just commitment to the cause at large. All right. Other paradigms of trying to rid yourself of the ego, the higher evolved are said to see this trap for what it is, and others accepting fate is a confirmation of something more. And it makes for quite the trip down the existential highway, I would say, which is not typically traveled down in these birthday breakdowns. Albeit laying the onus on such dynamics on early childhood, say, or there's experience therein, or the parents and their expectations, that does present rather regularly. But for you, more than most, apparently, being sure of your wishes and unafraid to communicate them is paramount. If you're going to come out the end of sacrificing yourself unscathed, all right? I'm assuming, which in and of itself is quite interesting, I would say, as I don't seem to recall even Capricorns getting this kind of an examination of dedicating themselves to a cause. And they're supposed to be the trademark examples of as much therein. All told, I would say building the necessary strengths and understanding of yourself before sacrificing yourself, I mean, I think that's what you should be chasing after if this is something. And I think the reading mentioned as much, and so I can get behind that. Sure, it's more of a sacrifice of your time, if you like. But conversely, you probably won't be apt to sacrifice the more important things. All right, as you'll find a balance there. You're also asking the right questions before you jump in after something, and more of your decisions and endeavors, I'm assuming, will be more happiness based, all right, or they'll apply more to your well-being. Personal fulfillment, it's huge, all right, which then serves a better chance that you won't abandon your efforts in the bargain. All right, so I don't know, maybe it's just a little bit of a trial by fire. You have to go after those things and sacrifice that well-being before you really decide what's important. But something I found particularly interesting for a dynamic that, it handled a different way, could be very myopic or much more laser focused and not expand out and incorporate as much as they did. So that having been said, that's what I'd say about the birthday breakdown. Let's move on to your numbers and your planets. All right, those born on the 24th day of the month are ruled by the number 6. Hey, we got one of those, didn't we? All right, the number 6 and the planet Venus. Those ruled by the number 6 are magnetic in attracting love and admiration. And since Venus is strongly connected with social interaction, it may be a temptation for February 24 people to give themselves over to the easy pursuit of pleasure and become objects of admiration. The combined influence of Venus and Neptune, which is Pisces ruler, can lend February 24 people an ultra-romantic and magnetic charm, but also weaken their sense of personal and social reality. And often love becomes the dominant theme in the lives of those ruled by the number 6. All right, what I'd say about your numbers and your planets. Let's dive back into the notes. This one was seemingly boilerplate, but I think they put it together in such a way that highly personalized it. They at least had to take some time to get all the right facets in the right places. So at least they spent some time with it. Some days these things are totally boilerplate. So there you go. But So they personalize it for you, is all I'm trying to say. So the number 6 in the planet Venus for qualities of being magnetic and attracting love and admiration. Strong connections with social interaction. And for you specifically, a temptation to give yourself over to the pursuit of easy pleasure, apparently. Which I didn't honestly pick up on that in the breakdown, but it may have its fingers in a draw to a cause in some form of fashion. Albeit that sounds more like masochism, considering the breakdown, all right? Drawing towards pleasure there. Having said that, mention of Neptune's influence, the planet of its own magnetic influence, and a tendency to impart traits of high idealism, as we mentioned previously. Also, dreams and visions, as said to contribute to a kind of hyper-romanticism, but also a weak sense of social and personal reality. A lot of Neptune folks have their heads up in the clouds, if you like, versus folks that are otherwise a little more grounded. So ostensibly why it's the planet of dreams and visions. And I'd argued based on the breakdown, it'd be more of a romance of high ideals, considering the subject matter. But there's no reason it can't be both high ideals and true romance, not just the romantic idea, kind of like Victorian age romance, if you like. So just be objective, I would say, measured and balanced, all right? All of those are running themes throughout the book. And do all that with your pursuits, I would argue, all right? And you'll come out just fine, even if you want to dip a toe in being a little bit more head in the clouds, all right? It's just interesting that that all came out and came into the numbers and planets, because it wasn't really mentioned too much in the breakdown. Doesn't necessarily mean it applies, but they only have so much space to dive into things, right? So in any event, that's been your numbers and your planets. Let's move on to your tarot. That's right, one of the more eclectic of the New Age metaphysical ideologies, but it's here in the book. Sometimes we can make connections or connotations with things that were mentioned in the breakdown, and sometimes it's just interesting to see what card you drew and how it may or may not line up, because sometimes it doesn't. But in any event, let's dive in, see what it has to say, and then we can leave it here. All right. Emphasizing this last point is the fact that the sixth card of the major arcana is the Lovers, symbolizing the love that unites all of humanity through integration of male and feminine polarities. On the good side of this card indicates affections and desires on a high moral, aesthetic, and physical plane. But on the bad side, unfulfilled desires, sentimentality, and indecisiveness. All right, this one, total copy-paste job. I feel like they might have also cut some fat off the bone there. I think there was usually another line they included, but I didn't look into that. I don't know why I didn't think to do it. Any event, let's dive into the notes again. The Lover's card for affections and desires in moral, physical, and aesthetic regards, which may in fact be the first time I read this part of the card with some sense of comprehension. All these different layers, maybe you can have an appreciation for each one. Every time I would read that previously, I just didn't know what they were talking about. That here nor there is just something I found of note. And I would say in no small part this card is particularly apt for you, considering your draw and corresponding commitments to a cause, a passion, like a romantic passion or draw, if you like. But that's assuming the breakdown applies, right? And therein for your wherewithal to stay committed to as much, ostensibly depending on personal fulfillment, as they mentioned, which would speak to unfulfilled desires, right? If you're leaning into an endeavor that you don't find any kind of personal fulfillment from, all right? So that's one of the bad sides, one of the negatives. So what else is there? I missed my place. Unfulfilled desires, etc. All right, and that's not even broaching your personal life and how that applies to the same said dynamics. All right, but it could also apply similarly. All right, so you got to explore those two different dynamics of your life, the personal and the professional. So the unfulfilled desires, sentimentality, and indecisiveness, the negatives there. All right, and you said you're apt to that hyper romanticism. Just be careful you don't go down that bad side and end up in the wrong place or making bad decisions based on such things, based on that passion, all right? You got to be objective. So in any event, it's more probably me saying that for myself than for you, but I think you get the idea. So that's been your tarot. Let's move on to your health. That's right, your health. Too many people born on February 24 have a tendency to relax into an easy life of sensuality and relative inaction. They must therefore beware of sedentary disorders affecting the legs, circulatory system, and the lymphatics. Because of their self sacrificing nature and propensity for creating negative expectations, they may eventually arouse resentment or anger in themselves or in others. And for some February 24 people, love relationships become the be all end all of existence. And therefore, those born on this day have to be particularly aware of dependencies as well as the sex and love addictions. Sensual food enjoyment and gratifying sexual activities are naturally important for their continued happiness. But they would do well to limit their diet both in richness and quantity, and perhaps structure their emotional life in more healthy and productive fashions. All right, we kind of drilled down on a lot of that in the tarot, surprisingly. You know what? This was not an atypical health entry. They don't usually dive into such things so deeply. All right, they actually didn't. They didn't really talk about exercise very much. The diet was kind of I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's dive back into the notes here. With your health here, a tendency to relax into an easy life of sensuality and inaction, they said, which is interesting. I didn't pick up on that from the breakdown. You seemed rather active role going after your cause, but I suppose that could be done from behind a desk, right? For a rather new dynamic to rise in the health entry, something I didn't pick up on in the breakdown, like I said, assuming it applies again. But a warning with regard to a sedentary lifestyle. And they mention the circulatory system. I'd say that naturally applies because you got to get the blood flowing. But and that was an Aquarius body area. We're pretty close to that period, even though we've fully transitioned out of it. But as I've said with Capricorn, there's been a bunch of carryover with this commitment to cause, etc. That was largely through the Aquarius period as well. So a lot of things have been carrying over with as much. So maybe the circulatory system applies for you just a little bit more than other individuals. That said, the Pisces body area is the lymphatic system, the feet and the toes, and the lymphatic system being, your lymph nodes and such. And I just got over a cold, and let me tell you, getting those lymph nodes massaged and drain out your sinuses and keep things breathing clear, free, and easy. Hey, you know what? Important, paramount. And considering we don't have a secondary heart just to specifically pump the lymphatic system as some other animals do, from which I've read, the lymph nodes are buried in muscle groups, so you have to be moving and grooving to get those things pumping and moving all of that nasty stuff around, keeping you healthy. So there you go with your sedentary lifestyle. If you're not moving and grooving, getting those muscles staying active, that stuff's just stagnating in your body. So there you go. All right, keep moving around a little bit. What else do we have here? So it might not just be the period in general, but you know what? Keep going with it. There's a little bit of that Capricorn carryover in all various different areas. So your feet and toes, like I mentioned, for the Pisces body area. Warnings for romance. And we got influences to include sensual sexual addictions for a rather psychological facet here included in the health. Even though they didn't mention as much directly, sometimes when these things pop up, they recommend therapy or talking to folks. They didn't mention as much, but I would assume that's kind of baked into it. But that kind of thing has arisen in a few previous days as well, the sexual facet there. So you're not alone in those regards. For you, it might be a little more hyper-focused on account of the Venus traits there and the influences from the planetary aspects there, if you were to lean into the astrological, if you like. So for you, it might just be a little bit more problematic, if you like. So what else do we have to say here? But food-wise, they said less rich and limit the diets with regard to fat and such. Kind of a cop-out in my opinion. Like, what is rich food? Some people would define that differently, so no real context here. And surprisingly, a lot of times the health entries will drill down on very specific foods. But again, all the way back to Capricorn, they've been kind of avoiding that. But one thing that did kind of present through there was avoidance of animal and dairy fats, insofar as the circulatory system in the veins or body areas for Capricorn and Aquarius. Doesn't necessarily apply to you, but there was just this largely devoid aspect here. And again, that's kind of carried forward through to Pisces. For you, the lymphatic system is the area of concern. And I've noticed that dairy fats and dairy products in general help to build up that mucus, and that's not what you want. So maybe avoid such things in that regard. Keep yourself moving free, clear, and easy. All right. So there's a food recommendation for you, since they forgot that. By and large, they didn't talk about exercise at all outside of doing so. And I bring this up because, again, health entries usually will drill down on a quality of exercise. Even exercises to do that kind of endorse your planetary powers, by my mind. You had the Venus as well as Neptune, not overly aggressive planets. You take a Mars day, they generally get recommendations for aggressive or vigorous exercise to ostensibly excise their aggressive nature, their god of warlike energy, and also combative sports sometimes. Here that's not the case, so I would say moderate to light exercise. But who's to say? Some of these days, they get recommendations to not even go after exercise. Very rarely, but for you, hey, you know what? You got to get up, get your circulatory system and lymph system moving. So I'd say at least light to moderate, all right? So that's been your health. Let's move on to some advice. All right, here we go. Learn to stick up for the real you. All right, and don't respond so readily to the suggestions or wishes of others. Augment your talents and willpower and resist the temptation of ego massage. All right. A little bit of redundant information here, but I would say it's important nonetheless to kind of help reaffirm such things that you need to hear. All right. What did I have to say about what they had to say? Here we go. Stick up for the real you, they said. Don't neglect your desires, even if you're the one denying them. Interesting dynamic there. They said don't respond readily to the desires of others. All right. And I didn't get the impression that you did as much. It sounded like you were even recruiting other folks over to your cause. So does it sound like you know what? You're the one who's doing the action there. But that's not what they said. So maybe with regard to giving yourself to a cause, that's the thing. Don't respond to those desires so much. All right. Also, don't be a football in that case. Maybe a commitment to this cause requires a lot of you, and people aren't too respectful of that time. So don't be a football often gets mentioned in the book here. And I would say be the quarterback or the coach in those respects. All right. The one who's driving the ball down the field or directing it to go down the field. Be more active rather than passive in that respect. Direct your energy also to say, be the one allowing others to tell you what to do. Don't just be the one being told. I'm allowing you to tell me what to do. That's right. Take a little bit of an aggressive stance, if you like, proactive. Respect for yourself, I would say. In any event, you can leave at any time also, all right? These are your prerogatives, I would say. You're the one who's committing themselves to a cause, not the other way around. So resist temptations of ego massage, though. Don't be too high up your own, you know what I'm saying, right? Reiteration of what it sounds like you already do based on the breakdown. So keep it up. And I would also say stay modest and humble, which was a huge sticking point for yesterday. Those people were the viable candidate, I think was what it was, but they didn't necessarily want to be the individual thrust into the position of leadership. But they would take it on if they were elected to do so. And I would say that's choice. That's choice. Doesn't necessarily apply to you, but I suppose it could. Very proximal, a little bit of that carryover. I would just say it's a good look to be honest, humble, earnest. In any event, what else do we have here? Augment your talent and your willpower. I would say keep adding and keep building up your talents. Stay curious about things. Your willpower sounds as though it hinges on your well-being. To say how long you perpetuate with your particular cause. If it's not doing something to benefit you, you might be apt to abandon it. So keep dynamically being involved in your own life and keep exercising that willpower, I would say. So it stays fruitful, it stays engaged, and you're not apt to abandon it in those cases because you're interested still. So yeah, keep augmenting. That having been said, that's been your advice. So let's move on to your meditation. All right, here we go. Your meditation, something to reflect upon. Many tragedies are enacted in the name of love. Very interesting. Very interesting. A lot I would like to say, but I'm not gonna. Once more, many tragedies are enacted in the name of love. All right, that's your meditation. It's your birthday. I don't want to throw my spin on it or influence it in any way for you. Although I am still, again, surprised they chose it for you because I just didn't pick up on that in the breakdown. But everywhere else in the book, it's just in through there like tree roots, right? In any event, that's your meditation. Again, I don't want to influence it for you. I probably already did to some extent, but there you are. So with your meditation in a can, let's move on to your strengths and your weaknesses. That's right. Let's hold up the objective mirror and see where you got the girth and where you otherwise maybe a little more atrophied within the metaphor. That's right. Your strengths, you're giving, you're open, and you're accepting. Interesting. I would say those all kind of dovetail together very nicely. But your weaknesses, let's hold that objective mirror back up, but flip it to the side. That blows up your face there. Maybe shows off the things you're otherwise a little more superficially insecure about. Like maybe your chicken pox scars that your parents told you not to pick, but you know what? I'm an independent individual. I'm going to do it anyway. And now what? It carries forward with you into latter life there. Your weaknesses. Here we go. You're self-absorbed. Ooh, all right. You're demanding. And you're static. Oh, interesting. The static one. Oh, you know what? I see it now. That's why they were bringing it up. Or, I don't know, maybe the things they brought up, they led to the weakness. Who's to say? In any event, oftentimes I like to say, don't get too bogged down in your weaknesses because sometimes they can be strengths. That's right. So I like to try to make a case for that. That having been said, also, I think there's a case to be made that our strengths can help us overcome our weaknesses. However, I mentioned that weaknesses can be strengths. There was one day, a couple months back, impulsive came up as a strength, but the very next day, it was a weakness. And I was like, well, where's the disconnect? Where's the carry through? Why is one day it's bad, the other day it's good? You know, I think sometimes it just depends on the person and how they use it, and sometimes also the situation. That's right. So some things that are weaknesses can become a strength, but we have to know how to look at it. All right. So your weaknesses, self-absorbed, demanding, and static. What's the case to be made that those are a strength? Well, if you're self-absorbed, hey, you can close things off and you can commit yourself to your cause a little bit more focused like, all right? But don't do it too much because then, you know what? Everything else is gone. But I think what they're trying to get at is that maybe the ego is getting a little bit too carried away. I don't know about the strength with that, but hey, again, you're very committed to whatever it is that's going on. But if it's focused on you yourself and not, getting a little too carried away, so you got to use it in moderation. Pick your instances to use it. All right. Maybe if you're trying to drive someone away, that's the perfect time to start doing it. Though that seems a little conceited or a little game playing. Again, pick your moments. Demanding, hey, you know what? Sometimes you gotta be demanding to make your points. But again, if you're doing it too much, hey, it's losing its impact, I would say. And now it's just a bad look. So use it sparingly, I would say, as a strength, if you like. And static, I don't know how static is a strength. We gotta be moving and grooving. But maybe sometimes you can just use it to take a step back, reflect, all right? And I would say if you can be static, well, I don't know. Maybe you're being active and that you're thinking about stuff. But sometimes we got to shut it all down. And if you can do that, it's a strength. But again, moderation, pick your situation and your moments. Your strengths, you're giving, open, and accepting. Hey, if you're giving, you're lending your time to that cause. That's huge. A lot of people don't have time to give, or they do, but they're not willing to carve it out. You're open. Hey, you're going to be hearing suggestions. You're going to be receptive to other people's needs. All right. Again, that's not something that a lot of people can do. Accepting, also open, I would say. All right. And you're allowing the person that coming to you with their issue that they're open about, and you're accepting it. A lot of other people, they might be open to it. They're not going to accept it. All right. So that said, like I said, I think your strengths are going to help you overcome your weaknesses if you need to. Giving to yourself, you are self-absorbed, it said, hey, you know what? You're going to give yourself the appropriate amount of time to get over your weaknesses. That one's a little oxymoron, but I think the argument still stands. You're open. Hey, you're open to overcoming your weaknesses. Some people aren't. And you're accepting. Hey, I accept that I have these issues, but I'm open to overcoming them. There you go. I don't know if I made the best arguments in the world, but hey, we gave it the old college try now, didn't we? And you know what? That's all in the name of the game, all right? That's what makes it a worthy endeavor, all right? So in any event, those are your strengths and your weaknesses. So let's move on to those born on this day. When we get into those born on this day, something I like to do is look at this from the perspective of figuring out our passions, all right? Not only do we get to see who shares your birthday, but we get to see what they did to get in the book. And I bring this up because a lot of times I get out in the world and meet folks and ask them what they do and if they like it, and they don't. And I think it's just because maybe they got out of school right into a job so they can make ends meet, and then maybe they got caught in a rut climbing that corporate ladder. And things start to get easier, more money starts to come in, they get used to what they're doing, they're on the autopilot. But hey, at the end of the week, end of the day, what are they doing for themselves, all right, outside of rallying for the next day of work? And I don't know if you can blame folks. It's just that they haven't been asking themselves the question of, what do I like to do? What is my passion? And a lot of times that requires work, effort, and time, and you have to carve that out for yourself. So I think this is the perfect opportunity to do as much. Consider what other folks have done for themselves and maybe take some inspiration for it. Now, if you already have a passion and the hat I'm not wearing is off to you, let's just look at it and see who shares your company and see what lottery you drew. It can be kind of interesting. But for the other folks, hey, let's try to stir up them fires of inspiration and get after a passion. All right. We have Wilhelm Grimm, the German fairy tale author, philologist, folklorist, and his brother was Jacob. We also have Winslow Homer, a 19th, 20th century genre painter and illustrator. We also have Giovanni Pico della Mirandola, an Italian philosopher, and united the Hermetic and Jewish Kabbalist traditions. We also have Michael Legrand, Michel Michael, and he was a French film composer, songwriter, arranger, pianist, and a singer. We also have Alain Prost, Alain. I don't know if I'm saying Alain, it might be Alan, but a French auto racer, 3-time Formula One champion. We have Charles V, German and Spanish emperor. Renata Scotto, an Italian opera soprano. We also have Edward James Olmos, the film and TV actor of Miami Vice fame, was also in Stand and Deliver, I believe. Battlestar Galactica. What was the other one? Blade Runner. That's right. And we have Barry Botswick, a film director. Abe Vigoda, film, TV actor. And it says Fish. Must be the movie, though those are usually italicized, so I don't know why it's not the case. But moving on, we have James Farentino, a TV actor. Nicky Hopkins, a British session pianist. Jimmy Ellis, world heavyweight champion. We also have Michael Harrington, a political activist, writer, educator, and a democratic socialist. There we go. Sir Cyril Arthur Pearson, British journalist, publisher, and a humanitarian. We also have William J. Grede, Grede, perhaps just Gred, steel manufacturer and founding member of the John Birch Society. We also have August W. Derleth, a horror fantasy science fiction writer. And we also have Arnold Dolmetsch, let's see here, a musicologist and an instrument maker. Lance Reventlow, a sports car designer, a racer, an heir to the Woolworth fortune. And it says Barbara Hutton's only son and killed in a plane crash at age 36. Let's just think of everything he accomplished before that happened. Interesting. It's so bad to hear those things. It's like, what else would they have accomplished if they could have just lived a little longer? That said, moving on, we have Charles Maria Widor, French organist and Bach Organ Works editor. Not quite sure what that means. Oh, probably the book. The book for Bach stuff. In any event, that's those born on this day. I know it's a big ask, tall order to try to take inspiration from other people's accomplishments, but hey, maybe me just putting the bug in here can help you stir up those fires. Because if there's anything I can wish for you on your birthday, it's that you're out there chasing after a passion, all right? Finding some personal fulfillment, something to drive after. And hey, they mentioned that for you, it's all important, all right? So that you're not falling out of favor with yourself or abandoning things, all right? So figure out that passion if you like. That said, I did butcher quite a few names in there. Even my words started to not make sense. I was crossing the threshold of fatigue or something. But let's make it up here on my side of things. Not done in malice. It's just hooked on phonics. Isn't the best tool for pronouncing names or words in general sometimes. But that having been said, that has been those born on this day, which essentially rounds out your birthday reading, all right? Except to say your season is winter, your sign, once again, is Pisces, of the Pisces 1 period specifically, and your quality and element is mutable water. What does that mean? Well, that's a whole host of different videos altogether. I'll leave 1 or 2 of them at the end, therefore, if you're interested in diving in deeper. Being the fish sign, you might take some interest in that regard. But this has been February 24th, the day of sacrifice. Don't know that we made a connotation for the bespeckled pinnacle rock or the milk jug, but hey, here nor there, not altogether all too important. I have an affiliate link for this book down in the description, Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and Used Elfers. If you're interested in picking up a copy, diving in deeper again, this thing makes an excellent coffee table book. If you're apt to, I don't know, throw a party, have some company over, this thing is going to get the party started off just right, all right? Well, for better or for worse, depending upon how people take their birthday reading. Some of them aren't so glowing. A lot of down in the dumps kind of stuff sometimes. But hey, got to take it where we can get it, right? So better or for worse. That having been said, I have this affiliate link up above, a personal message I'd like to leave for the birthday boys and girls, ladies and gents. So go check that out if you're interested. But the book having been related, that's not what's important here. Like I said at the top, what's important, that's right, wishing you a happy birthday. So once again, happy birthday, all right? And for everybody else that joined us randomly or was here to celebrate, hey, I hope you took something of value regardless of it not being your birthday. Sometimes we hear these things, hey, that applies to me. What was the thing that was said? Perfect. That's exactly what I needed to hear. I take that every day here in one form of fashion. So, but any event, once again, I hope that's the case. I hope we see you for your birthday reading too. All right. But lest I forget before I take us out, that's right. You know, daily numbers. Get out there and let the universe show you it's with you on your path. All right. You see, taste, touch, smell, intuit, just a little bit of the magic, the synchronicities, stacking up the coincidences. Hey, I think you'll understand why I brought it up, all right? And you need to get out there and do something that's not sedentary, like they said. Yeah, you can sit in the soda fountain, get you a little drink on with your egg cream there if you like, or your lime, strawberry aid, whatever it may be. But you got to get moving and grooving. Get the lymph circulating, right? That said, I want to thank you for the pleasure of your time, and it's been a privilege to share your birthday with you, all right? So once again, happy birthday, all right? And take care of yourself. Keep chasing after something fulfilling so that wherewithal and your willpower can keep that power going. All right? Take care.